Hello and welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast dedicated to igniting your entrepreneurial spirit and empowering you to conquer new horizons. In this podcast, we chat with inspiring entrepreneurs on their journey to success through some amazingly insightful and expansive conversations. These episodes thrive on thought-provoking chats where our guests fearlessly explore their path to success, sharing their experiences, failures, and triumphs. No topic is off limits as we deep dive into the talked about and not so talked about pieces it takes to build a business, overcome limiting beliefs, deal with personal struggles, and everything in between that shapes our lives and our businesses. I'm your host, Kat Polsonelli, creator and founder at The Lotus Effect, where we believe that success is not just about strategies and tactics, it's about cultivating a powerful mindset and creating customized business operations that align with you and your true purpose. Whether it's mastering time management, improving productivity, enhancing leadership skills, or simply fostering a growth-oriented mindset, we'll provide you with the tools and strategies to flourish in both your business and personal life. I'm so excited to have you join us today in this episode, so get ready to feel empowered and inspired as we learn together and from one another on how to rise above challenges, break through limitations, and unlock our full potential. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I have a super special guest, you guys. This is a full circle moment. We are taking it back to the beginning. No. John is an awesome friend of mine, and for anyone that's been following the podcast for a long time, he was actually my very first podcast guest over 2 years ago, and I was so nervous to start with him. That's back when I was giving my intro before like reading the script and everything. So John has had a really cool opportunity to be able to see the progression, and I've also got to see a really awesome progression in his business as well. So welcome, John, to the podcast.
Thank you for having me back, Kat. I really appreciate you, and I'm very honored to have been the first. But I think even more elated for you for how great and how much success you've had since then. I see you on LinkedIn constantly, and I love it. I can say I see people on Facebook all the time. That Facebook and Instagram seem to be the only thing people like to use, but LinkedIn is a business a platform that I put a lot of value in because there's not a lot of buying fake followers and fake crap. It's there's
Very
a lot
true.
of stuff you still got to filter through, just like everywhere else, and it's. But seeing you on there all the time and seeing the reactions from people and the people that you're interviewing now it gives me goosebumps because I remember initially the email that went out, or not email, it was a message on Workplace, or might have been even Facebook in our Honey Badger group that was, hey, I'm looking to interview some people, and so I just threw my name in the hat, thinking, yeah, well, we're in a big group here. There's a lot of really great people here. If she wants to, I'm an out there dude. I'd love to get on there and get to know somebody and get my name out too. So it helped me just as much as it helped you, and this is, again, like you said, a full circle moment. I'm very honored to be back on here, but super, super excited just to see what you've done up until now. And yeah, this is awesome. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yay, this is going to be such a great conversation. And I love that we have shirts that just tell people right off the rip.
Well,
Like yours says not for everybody, mine says be real. You can't see
yep,
the bottom, but it says not perfect.
yep.
As
I would wear that if I wasn't wearing this.
This is one of my favorite shirts. I love wearing this
Yeah,
shirt when I'm
I think I
public.
wear this one too much actually, but it screams John Clark, that's for sure.
Well, John, I am so excited to have you back on here today. So, for all of the new listeners, do us a favor and tell everybody who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. Well, I go by your agent, John Clark, here in Dayton, Ohio. I take care of the Dayton and Cincinnati markets as it relates to selling real estate. Um, I have been with eXp Realty since June 18th of, excuse me, I take that back, August 22nd. I just told you the first day I kissed my wife. That's how much. Yeah,
Oh,
1998. first day I ever kissed her. No, I'm so sorry. It's August 22nd of 2018. 18 is what messed me up there. And so I've been with them the entire time that I've been in real estate. Prior to this, I was a corporate sales assassin, right? Like used to sell document destruction of confidential information, which was fun like a root canal. But I did it really well and was lucky enough to be number one in the world for a couple of years for a multi-billion-dollar sales organization. So taking that skill set and bringing it over to real estate, and this is no offense to a lot of people, but it's a lot of soccer moms and weekend warriors, right? Like I think 74% of people, and no offense to those people because everybody needs to make a living, but 74% of agents last year in 24 didn't even sell one home. So, you know, it's not for the weak at heart. It's you got to act like this is a regular 9 to 5 job, and I think that's the biggest misconception with a lot of people. So I've had some good success that way. But and the good news is coming over to this business from what I did before, I have the right skill set to sit down and make calls and do all that stuff. But I was also blessed to have started making sales memes and whatnot prior to even leaving when memes became a thing. I'm an old school 80s comic idiot who likes to have fun and make fun of people as much as I like to be made fun of. Matter of fact, I make fun of myself more than anybody else. So after we get our butts kicked all day long, I like to make real estate memes and stuff like that to kind of bring it back down and keep us all, laughing and keep everything kind of light. So I was grandfathered into a specific meme app that I've been using for the better part, let's see, since 2015. So right at 10 years now. And so it was an easy transition when I came over to real estate sales memes to real estate memes, and now I've officially made more real estate memes than anyone in the country. So a lot of people around the country now know me for that specifically, funny enough. So which is cool because if you go and see any of those and you get a giggle on and then you come check me out, you see I actually close deals like a champ too. So it's fun to have fun, but then I need you to understand that I'm all about business when it comes to referring business and or partnering up with you. So yeah, man, that's kind of it in a nutshell, I think. At least to start you off.
There you go. That's a good. No, I love this though. And what I really thought was interesting is you had the background in sales, which is awesome because a lot of people that I know that I've worked with and that I onboarded back when I was with Keller Williams, didn't have that kind of experience. A lot of people get into real estate, and I think some of the most common reasons why people get into real estate, at least the ones that I heard, were my friend said I would be great at it. I love to design homes. I love interior decoration. And I was like, that's not what selling is. I had a really bad experience with my agent and I know I could do it better. So this is why I got into it. Those are literally like the three biggest things. So if you're thinking of getting in real estate and those are your reasons, I want you to just rethink for a second. Because you're right, it's not for everyone. And especially now that a lot of the laws have changed and the way things are doing it and how NAR has redirected things for anybody that's not aware of that, it's the National Association of Realtors. They've kind of flipped the script on a lot of things and it can be a lot of fun. But like you said, there's a lot of hard work that also goes into it as well. It is not what everybody thinks, which is the get rich quick scheme. You sell a house, you get paid, I make a ton of money. Like you can, but there's a lot of people that I've talked with, that I've interviewed, you including, that there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. One of my favorite things, though, about you is your memes. That was one of the first things that I ever saw in one of the Facebook groups that you and I were in. And I love that you liked to have fun with it. And it wasn't always like doom and gloom. You know how you get people that are in certain industries and like they try to be funny, but
Yeah.
like the funny is like, ew.
If you haven't been there and you don't do the job, you can't make these. Like I'm sorry, I mean, not to where it affects your whole market. Like you and I have been to showings and the person didn't show up. I got one for that. I've got the ones where someone's begging you, like, please just show me the house. I'll get pre-approved afterwards. Yeah, right. Got one for that. Like I've make them for things that happen to all of us all day long. So the second you see it, you're like, bah, yeah, I need that. I have people messaging me literally daily. Do you have a meme for X? I just had so and so do this to me. Do you have something like this?
Oh, I
Do you
love
have the
that.
one where the dad shows up at the inspection and ruins the whole deal? Amen. I have one for that. Like I've, and then every time I see something on TV, I'm like, there's a good meme. Or, you see a picture of like, during the Super Bowl, you'll see a dumb thing Taylor Swift does during not necessarily dumb, I don't mean be mean to her, but something that she does in the box that now I can turn into like, when your buyer accepts an offer, whatever, it the mind spit. I'm always looking for the next post anyway in the actions that I do and the things that I see. Because my business has been really a lot of it, it's comedy is fun and all. That's just to kind of keep everything light. But my business has been built on showing love to people. Matter of fact, I just got an email yesterday. I'm in the top 10% of Google restaurant reviewers. Funny enough. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's just because, well, reviewers, I guess, period, because it's not just restaurants, but literally every time I go anywhere, if I haven't already done a review for them, I'm looking for something to do. Like I'm looking to share that they're good or share that they're not so good, which honestly, most of them are the good side. I don't really go after the negative stuff too often. You have to be really horrible for me to take my time to
Yeah.
blow that way. But yeah, so I don't know. It's been it's an easy transition for me to kind of work all these things in together. But there's not really a method to the madness, unfortunately. So I'm inspired when things happen, and so it happens then. It's not, it'd be cool if I had a videographer running around with me all the time and doing cool. That's what a lot of people I see do, and they don't sell real estate, but they can do some social media. That's pretty cool. I'd rather be known as the guy that closes deals, but happens to be a funny dude that doesn't, does the meme. So, uh, I don't know. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the best thing about it, right? Is everybody else has a method and a lot of people have strategies and stuff, and you take what works for you and you've built your business and your personality, which is why people use you when you're in the realm of real estate, when you're in the realm of coaching, when you're in the realm of sales. People, yes, need a product, but they can use anybody to get that product. They choose to work with an individual because of something that ties them to it. And one of the things that I really love about you is this pay it forward attitude. I've seen a lot of the things that you do for other people. I see when you take pictures of other agents that you're friends with and shout them out when they're doing different things. And that's such an awesome thing to think about that because a lot of people, when you think about the world of sales, you think of like, oh, it's a dog eat dog world and everybody's fighting each other. It's like, no, there's so much that can go around and you can build each other up. And if you go in a way that fills it with abundance, then it's like it brings so many more opportunities and you get to build with other people, right? I mean, if I sell in one area, I can't sell in 50,000 others, or I shouldn't be. And if you are, you need to look at what you're doing. Um, but so you build those relationships, you build those partnerships, you refer to other people. That works in any industry, not just real estate. And so I always love to see when you're shouting out other people and you're giving other people a heads up, whether it's someone that you've worked with or a mortgage broker that you've done deals with or a real estate agent that you're like, look at them out here killing it. Like that's what it's supposed to be about. And I love that, you say that I don't have a method, but I feel like your method is kindness. And the more that you give kindness out, the more that that comes back to you. Like that's what you attract into your world. And I think that that's what makes it so fun, but also so simple as well, aside from the hard work and the crazy days and some of the things that happen. But because you have that attitude, it brings everything into a whole different perspective.
I've been lucky that way. And, it started off with, because I started doing this about 5, 6 years ago. And now people, funny enough, those pictures when I sit there and I'll stop and take one with the sign, somebody sign, I did those early on. I knew because of social media, you feel like like before we met in Vegas, at the, I felt I already knew you. So imagine when I finally saw you in person with my wife and everybody there, I was like, oh, cat. Like it looked like I was obsessed, but I was like, this is a person I've seen for like years, and now I get to physically see them. I'm like, and I don't even know if I knew her that well to hug her, but I was coming after it. I'm like, how are you doing? Like, so when I see there's a lot of people I see online, and they don't have to be with my brokerage. I see that they're an incredible father or a mother that, they all they do is brag about their kid or how much they love their husband or wife. Like those are things that I do that I love to do, and I'm not ashamed to do. I'll brag about everybody I love and talk about how great people are. So when I see other people do it, I admire them. And so if I happen to be driving down the street and I see your for sale sign, I may have never met you before in person ever, but we know each other. That you know who I am from seeing me because I'm the same dude you saw. I'm the same guy in person. I'm the same idiot in
Yeah.
person. That's me online. Uh, I don't know how to change. And so I'll stop and take a picture. And the funny thing is, I like that you see where I'm coming from when I'm doing that. Some agents have came to me before. I cannot believe that people that were like on my team. I cannot believe you would use your following and take a picture and blow somebody else up like from Remax or from Coldwell or Keller. And like, do you know that's sending people to them? I'm like, you think so? I was like, let me tell you what really happens. I'm like, I'm showing love to someone that I genuinely am trying to show love to. I have no other reasons for. I'm not saying, hey, look at them, call me. But what happens is when I do that and I talk about how great this person is or how much I admire them, yes, it does shed a positive light on them, which is exactly what I want to happen in the first place. But then people say, man, they don't say, man, I really need to use that agent that he's pointing at. That's not
Yeah.
what they do. They're like, that guy's not scared of anybody. Holy crap. And he shows love to other. That's the kind of human being I want to work with. And then they call me. And I don't, not
Yeah.
every time, but I've been given that compliment a couple of times. Like, hey, you know what? I reached out to you. I just like the way, you kind of, there's no competition for you. I'm like, the only competition I truly have, and it sounds cheesy, is the dude I was yesterday. If I can beat up on that guy, I'm straight. But everybody else, man, I will high five you if you just got a good listing. And even if you beat me for it, I'm just going to try to figure out what the hell you did so it doesn't happen again. But I'm still going to high five you for it and be like, great work, man. I need to work on my stuff, not my hate or whatever. So, yeah, I appreciate you recognizing that too, because it's been the easiest way for me to gain more business and more respect in this industry. And every time I go to like a Dayton Board of Realtors event or any event around here, people come up to me all the time. Oh my God, I've been wanting to meet you for so long. And it feels like low key, like famous, right? Like cheap. I mean, like, I don't know. For me, here locally, it's kind of cool. Like there's so many restaurants we go in and, oh my God, are you that birthday guy? Did the birthday videos, right? And my wife gets so sick of it. Not sick, mean, sick of. She's like, oh, here we go again. And I'm like, I love it because I get to mess with her on it, but it's not like I'm like, look at me, honey.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just cool. It means that the effort that I'm putting in, it hit somebody. And there's so many
Yep.
people in this town that if they did that, and then now a couple other people here, but they say it's just, I don't know. It just fires me up to do more. And when it's something positive too, and I get the good feedback, because a lot of people can see what you see. They see that there's no ulterior motive to me doing that. It's literally showing love. Plus, what I write in it typically is, I mean,
Yeah.
probably they should call HR on me sometimes because I'm talking how much I love them. Like, it's genuine, I promise. But so it's. I'm glad. Thank you for picking up on that. That's probably been the game changer in my business. Is come from a place of abundance and things just happen. And just
Yeah.
more good things happen every time you try to go out of your way to do something good for other people. It doesn't without needing to get anything out of it genuinely. You know,
Hmm.
it's always
Yeah.
nice when something comes back later on, but that's when you're not throwing it out for that reason. You'd be surprised what comes back. So it's yeah, cool part of the business.
Well, and you said one thing too that I know you said, it sounds cheesy, but I want to reiterate this, and that is there is no competition except for the person that I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That
It's true.
is one of the best things I think that we should be paying attention to because the more that we see other people's competition, the more that we see our realm of what we're doing as scarcity, meaning that there is not enough, right? Meaning that, okay, but I have to have it versus you understanding that you don't always have to be number one. You don't always have to be the top one. Like there is room for other people to, like you said, if this person gets a listing and you didn't, you're like, man, I want to know what you did. What did you do that I could maybe do differently? That to me is growth. That is always wanting to improve upon yourself and realizing that it doesn't matter what other people are doing. Everybody has their own niche, everybody has their own personality, and that's the reason why certain people mesh, which to me is like the ultimate goal because I don't want to mesh with everybody. I don't. There are some
It's
people that I'm like,
impossible.
no, you could go the other direction.
Hmm.
And then there's other people that I'm like, oh my gosh, I want you in my realm because of the way that they make me feel, right? And being able to build a business like that, regardless of where you're at. I mean, you could be in a workforce, building something like that where you enjoy the people around you. And instead of hating on them and condemning them because they did something better, you choose to learn from it. That's where I feel like more people should be moving toward. This is how you grow. This is how you continue to improve yourself. And that in itself builds up that inner confidence to where you get to that point, like you're saying, where there is no other competition. I knew what it was like to have competition. I felt like everybody was trying to beat me and I felt like I had to be the best. Like I've been in that space and I hated that space after a while and I got tired of feeling like that. And one of the things that I did a couple of years ago was I would start just messaging people on socials like, hey, congratulations, but not like congratulations, yay. Like I really genuinely tried to feel it, even if it was like, oh, this is so weird and awkward. Like I tried to feel that for them and be like, you know
Hmm.
what? Good for you. Like kudos to you. And now it's so funny because when I see things like that before, I'd be like, God, that's so fake. There's no way you can feel that way. But now I am that person and I'm like, no, it genuinely, like you
You can feel
genuinely
that
can
way.
just love people and be happy for other people and know that like, you know what, good on you because one day I'm going to get there or one day I'm going to do this and then you're going to tell me how great I've done. Like there's a give and take on so many sides that we don't see. And I think that's one of the reasons why I just absolutely love you and love being in touch with you is because you emulate that. Like so far out, not just to your clients, but to the people that you're around as well. I've seen some of the stories of you helping people at the gas station that you go and get coffee at every day and them giving you a gift card for the great things that you've done. Like that's what the world needs more of.
Well, I don't mind doing it. I actually look for every single day. I look for excuses to buy someone coffee. So I'm in there. I get up at 4, so I'm in there probably twice before my family gets. Or I go in there and come back, do my thing, and then I go back out sometimes, and maybe I'll grab my wife one. But if I ever catch somebody buying coffee or making coffee, I'm like, I got hers and his too. And then I'll go over and just say, hey, I hope you have a great day. Your coffee's on me. And it's turned it's honestly it's to put a smile on someone's face because so many people have been like, you didn't have to do that. I'm like, you're right, I didn't. I'm like, hope you have a great day. And and then people have stopped me before. Well, what's your name? What do you do? And there's one specifically. I remember last summer, I bought her one, and the young lady was just getting ready to go to an interview and was like tripping out. And
Oh,
apparently, stopping to her, getting her coffee, and then she's like, "Oh my God, I needed this." I'm like, "You're gonna kill." And I talked to her for the next 5-10 minutes before she left and fired her up before she went to her interview, talking about how badass she was and she's gonna kill it. And this is what I do for my wife too. Like when she goes to interview, I'm like, "You were the best at this." I'm Mr. Motivational speaker when it comes to like, I'm like, you ready to kill this interview? I'm not letting you leave me like, oh my God, I don't think. No, 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 no. We don't do that. We're about to pull this out. So uh, I've had some good experience like that. And matter of fact, that young lady hit me up 2 months later. I was getting ready to get on a plane to go on vacation, and she called as we're going down to Florida, and she called me and asked me if I would list her home. I'm like, that was pretty cool. After she broke it down to me, job stuff and all this, it was just really, it was a cool moment because we didn't even talk. I told her what I did, but I didn't say, hey, holler at me if you ever. And she just happened to remember that. She goes, you remember me? You bought me coffee before my interview. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I sure did. Let's speed whip. She's like, yep. Yeah. And then she told me about the house. I'm like, well, that's really cool. Of course, I'm getting ready to get on a plane right now, so hopefully this is like you need to list this yesterday. But no, it's a lot of fun doing that and catching people off guard and sometimes changing their day because then it
yeah.
changes my day, if I'm not
It
already.
really does. It really
Yeah.
does. It really does make a really interesting impact, even when you're having kind of a meh day, like just to say something to somebody as you walk by, like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair. Oh my God, I love your
Yeah.
shoes," right? Or you have a beautiful smile, like whatever it is, to see people light up because so many people don't get those kinds of compliments, right? And or you know that they're kind of in a mode. I don't know why, but I feel like I can sense it sometimes. I'm just like, I need to
Hmm.
say something to
Yep.
you, right? And like I go on those urges. So, and I think I don't know. I think it's really great. And I think that we need more of that in this world with all the turmoil and chaos and drama and separation that we have. But I have to ask you now, have you always been this way? Have you always been like the happy-go-lucky person I want to shout everybody out? Or do you feel like this is something you kind of like grew into?
Well, I feel like I've always been the person who looks out for other people. I've always been a team leader because I'm a soccer. I played soccer in Berlin for a few years after high school. I've always been a captain of a sports team, basketball, soccer, whatever it is. I like taking on the roles of like things like that because I feel like I can help corral people and kind of keep them dressed right, dressed. But in my career up until real estate, I mean, I wasn't the push wasn't to have me be Mr. Happy, share my love with everybody. It was see who you can destroy on your way to the top, almost. Not me personally, I mean, which made it hard for me. Because I'm a sales guy. I used to be so I was in that corporate job for a good 8 years and I was an outside guy and I was always a nice guy. Like, hey, yo, you don't want to buy now? Sure. You know what? We'll talk, we'll stay in touch and and I know I sold you the value, and you were interested, but we'll get back soon. I left the company because of a bad boss who was, just wasn't very motivating, was a pretty horrible person in my opinion. So I left for 2 years and then they came back after me again because everybody was talking about how I help. I know it sounds cocky when I say this, but I've been told this a few times, so I'm going to go ahead and say it, that I change cultures. Like when I go into because I'm, hey, good morning. Like if you're the assistant in the front, if you're the finance person, if you're my boss, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm always like, good morning, sweetheart, because we're a team. And I could be the best and was the best salesperson in the entire company on 3 continents. All right. That's how bad. And I was over number two by 100% 2 years in a row. Like, whoop that ass. Trained my second year, I trained 140 of my peers, helped them, telling them exactly what I did to get more competition. And 4 of those people ended up at President's Club with me. And that's the kind, I did it because it wasn't I just wanted more opportunity for our company. And people were calling me, and I can't say no because before I started the first year, I called the top 10 people in the world and said, "What are you doing to be the best in the world?" Because I want to be there next year. And I started February 1st, not January 1st, like they did. And all of them said the same thing: make one more phone call. I'm like, you serious? Like I've been in sales since Moby Dick was a minnow. You don't tell me to do more activity. I'm talking about, is there a specific person I ask for, a niche industry I want to call? Anything like that? Nope.
Yeah.
All right, cool. End of the year, again, 11 months, 12 months for them. And I beat number two by over 100%. So guess what happened after that? Everybody called me that next year, including those top 10. What did you do? I should have said make more phone calls. Instead, I got a pen and paper and I sat down and I shared with them what I did. I don't know if your branch can do the same thing that ours can do, if capability wise, because some of them were different with the trucks that we had. I'm like, but I know that you can do this, and this is the talk track that I use, and these are the people And so I got to a point where I was helping all these people close and becoming, and that's when I realized what I wanted to do. I want to help people. Like I want to help when the light goes off in another salesperson's head and I taught them something that turns them into an animal after that. Not a closer like a person. They don't need to buy something. You make them buy, not those kind of clowns. I'm talking about people that can sell value and help the company as well as the client at the same time without having to
Hmm.
rip apart the guy that they just got a quote from a different company. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that. You just sell your value and they'll do that for you. And so I don't know. It was a really cool experience, but then, you know, every time you get better, you're asked for more. You asked for more. You asked for more. So and then I got a good position with those. I went and basically interviewed against 100 other people for a specific job, which I thought was going to be with what I was doing that second year, training everybody all over the place. We had 2 branches in every state. I thought I was physically flying there to train them, because if you see this in person, it's crazier than just on a
Yeah.
email. And so, I'd be home to my beautiful wife and kid every weekend, and I'd be, we were cool. Turns out they called me while I was on vacation and they needed an answer because apparently I got the job, but they wanted me to go to each branch because we just were bought for $2.2 billion by Stericycle. That they wanted me to convince them to move to one of 5 regional call centers in the country, or I had to fire them. I'm like, well, you got the wrong guy. Quit on spot and became a realtor months later, and the rest is history. I don't plan on going back. This is where it's at. I control my schedule. I get to deal with people, like great people, all the time now. There are people you have to navigate through this business, and some people you have to see again that you don't want to sometimes. But from my experience, the majority of people out here are the good ones. There's just it's just a tough market right now for a lot of people, and so yeah, that's where we're at with all that. I think I
I
went
love
off
it
on a
though.
tangent. Cat, I'm sorry.
That's
Imagine that.
okay, John. That's
Imagine
okay.
that.
No, I think it's great because it shows realness, right? It shows what you've been through, it shows what you strive for, but it also shows the level of integrity that you have, which a lot of us do. And at the same time, it's also very crushing to know that something else is asked of us that is something we don't want to do. And it's hard to make that decision. It's really hard for a lot of us to be like, okay, do I do something I probably don't want to do, but I know that I have the stability, so I have the money and I'm going to be set, and at least, I can see where my future is? Or do I let my integrity ride this out and I stand behind who I am and decide to do something else? And that's a super scary jump. I mean, when I left the medical field after I was fired for a moral disagreement, which I will forever stand behind.
Mhm.
But it's things like that where it was like I could go back in and I could get with another doctor and another facility that I knew how they were going to treat me. I knew how things were going to kind of go. Or I take the leap of faith and go, you know what? Screw this. I think I'm going to try this out on my own and see what happens because I want to be able to help people. And I am constrained in the way that I'm able to do it here, which led me into my real estate journey, which then opened up all kinds of doors, right? From doing that to coaching agents to coaching entrepreneurs to now speaking and like really in my space of what I feel like I am meant to do. But it's taking those risks and seeing if like do I want to fully open up that door even though I'm not sure what's behind it, and that's super hard for a lot of us to do. So I congratulate you for making that decision and letting your integrity be what shined through because you knew who you were and you knew what you wanted to do and you had that confidence of like I'm going to figure it out regardless because I've done it before, because that's super hard to do as well when you're stepping into something that you've never done before.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wish my wife would have had the same answer when I initially told him I was going to drop like a bad habit. I was more angry that I was asked to do something like that, knowing the person that I had been for the last year for this company. Everybody knew who I was. And I don't
Mhm.
mean this in an arrogant way, but like the CEO of my company knew me, and then we were sold to a big, huge company, and I knew that CEO all the way down, and they all knew me from 2 presidents clubs. I sat with all the big wigs after this, at this, thanks to my wife, funny enough. But they the fact that they even asked me to do something where I have to cut the legs out from under people that I have been building up for a year and a half or so. I'm like, I couldn't even say I'll think about it. I literally told them to go themselves right there on spot and quit. And there's when you have a family, let me go ahead and say that that's not the smartest move you could ever do. Uh, but I have zero pride when it comes to taking care of my family or friends or whatever. I jumped my butt in my car and I started doing Uber and Lyft, and I started doing the real estate classes in between my rides and did that. And finally, I got a little pissed after a couple of weeks and went straight to the class instead so I could knock it out faster. And haven't looked back since. And it was the best decision I think I've ever made in my life for multiple reasons. My wife and I are awesome. My kid, I get to spend more time with my child now, which is really cool. My family, I get my house is looking a hell of a lot better. I mean, like, I've just been able to do so. I paid off every single bill since I became. It's funny, over there I was a six-figure agent and was great and all, but now I really make money. I mean, like, I'm able to do good things now with what I did. I got rid of all issues before. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of the toxic crap you do when you're a corporate sales clown. To numb the garbage you deal with all the time and the verbal assassination or whatever. I literally quit everything, and I've never been more happy in my entire life than I am like right now, literally. So I don't know, it's been a cool ride, man. I tell you, and sticking with your integrity is something. It's like what I tell my son. If you don't if you don't lie, you never have to remember what you did, right? If you do things the
Yep.
right way all the time, people can be mad at you all they want, but they can't hold it against you. And so there's this big wave of that. I'm literally, I'll say anything, Andy. I'll tell you how I feel about any subject you bring up, because I'm 100% behind everything that I say, everything that I do. I don't have to worry about if this girl's going to come up and say something in front of my wife one day and make me look bad. It's never been a problem. I never have to worry about, like, that's a great feeling
It
to
really
have
is.
all your stuff out there and like literally bring it. I triple dog dare anybody to come bring anything I've ever done in my whole life and see if somebody doesn't already know. You
Yep,
know?
I love that. And you know what? What's so funny is I remember being on the other side where like you kind of have to play the game and you kind of have to like smile at people and be nice and
Yep.
pretend like you like them, and it is so exhausting. Like so exhausting. And I have to like 100% agree with you because the day that I decided that I am not responsible for other people's emotions and how they feel about a certain way, as long as I know that when I said whatever I said, it was not to be a jerk, it was not an ill will, it was just a statement, it was a fact, there was a neutrality behind it, and it like that is just who I am. Like when I learned that that was okay, that was a game changer, like
Amen.
game changer to the way that I speak to people and to the way that I speak online and to the way that I now talk about, domestic violence and resiliency and the other things because I'm not responsible for you. None of us are responsible for other people's emotions and how they feel and all that. And I don't need to say it a certain way to make sure that you're okay with it, but then remember how I said it to you because I may have said it so exhausting. Like it's
Yep.
great to be able to take the mask off that we wear or did wear for
Yeah.
so many people. And while yes, it is super scary in the beginning, and you do have to remind yourself that like it's not your responsibility. I cannot control the way that somebody reacts to it. I cannot control how they perceive certain things based on the way I say it. I can openly give space for them to ask questions for clarity, totally good with that. But if you choose to take something I say without saying, I don't think I understand that, then that's on you. That's not
Yep.
on me. I don't take that responsibility anymore. That is the most freeing thing. Like, I have been less stressed and agitated, and I don't fume on things for days. Do you ever do that where you
Oh
like
yeah.
think about something and then you're like, oh my gosh, but if I would have said it this way and if this would have happened, then this could have done. Like, I would play a whole scenario out in my head and then I'd be
That
like,
never even happened.
right, what was the point of that? Like, it's not going to happen again. Like, the conversation's already over.
Yep.
But that's the things that we do to ourselves when we try to fit in other people's molds. And it's not saying that you have to be a jerk. There's a difference. There's a way to come about it where you just are who you are. You own it, right? And if I say something and somebody's like, "Oh, I don't really do like dark humor jokes. I'm dark humor people, sorry." I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I didn't mean to offend you and I apologize for that. I will totally take responsibility for that, right? Because I get it. Some people are not some people are not in the space I am when it comes to certain things. Um, that's totally fine. But it's who I am, right? And so I can dial it back a little bit for you when we're conversating so that I don't sit there and make you completely uncomfortable because that's not what I want to do. And if it's in a setting where you just all of a sudden get that vibe, but you don't bring it up, not my problem. Like, not
Yep.
my problem.
Yep. I tell you what, I think we may have talked about this in the very first interview, but it's something I've been saying for a very long time, but your vibe attracts your tribe. I only want to hang with people who understand, who can deal with this. You know, if you can't, I am not mad at you. We were all brought up differently. Everybody has their thing.
Yep.
I'm a military brat, man. I don't care if you're black, white, green, purple, gay, straight, who you pray to, who you hang out with, who stays over. I don't care. I respect what you do. Just keep it sexy and do your thing, and don't ask me to believe in what you're believing, or don't. I won't ask you to do the same for me, but I just ask that you respect me like I respect you. And if we all just did that and kind of minded our own business and stayed in our own lanes, you know I think we'd all get along, especially here lately over the last few years. I mean, this political stuff has just gotten way out of whack, to where I've
Yeah.
seen good friends, family members, things like that completely cut each other off over who the hell the president is.
Mm-hmm.
Which, in my 52 years of life, I've never had my world flipped upside down by who became president. There's been a couple of changes here and there that I've been like, oh, that sucks, or that one, whatever. But, or, ooh, that's great. But overall, there hasn't been anything that makes me want to say I'll never talk to Kat again because she voted for whoever. You know, I like dealing with, because I what I know for a fact is my wife and I have been split on that before. And there's nobody that I love or would protect more than her, even after that. That's her thing. You know what I mean? That's whatever. It's, I don't know. I don't think we were made to be alike.
Yeah.
If so, we'd all look the same. I just don't think that. So, yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on all of that, man. And I just always feel like you've always been the kind of person that I like to surround my, like, I like people like you because you can genuinely tell that you're a good human. I have been on numerous podcasts with people who just wanted to have me on there to talk about whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was a honey badger group. Maybe it was memes. Maybe it was something weird, or the birthday video or something like that. And I've through talking with them figured out that I'm not probably the best person to vibe with this person, but I'm stuck on this interview now and have to get off it too. This doesn't happen with you. Like, you're just a natural, easy person to speak with, and I can tell that when you click stop after this, you're going to be the exact same person that I was just talking to when I call you on the phone later, or if I see you in Vegas. Like, you are no different. I've ran into people who are absolutely different here versus here. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's it's a breath of fresh air.
Well, I appreciate that. And I agree with you. I think that the mutual respect thing for other people's views and opinions needs to be more of what we lean into. And that does not mean that you have to see it the way that I do, but like, I respect your differences, to each to own, and we can still be friends on that. I agree with that 100%. So, John, we could continue this conversation for like days, and I think that the crowd would get so much goodness and so much information and so much wholeheartedness. Like, I can't wait to see who this episode inspires to do something different. So as we come to a close, is there any last words or anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
Oh, be kind to each other. Show love. It really does help your business. I promise you. I promise you. And if it doesn't, come see me in Ohio. We'll talk about
I
it.
love it. John, tell everybody then where they can find you and where they can follow you.
In most places, if you look up your agent, John Clark, you will find me, or 10X EXP Realty, like it's on here. That's on Instagram, but you're just, John Clark is not a very exotic name, so your agent, John Clark, might help it a little bit. That's usually the best way to find me, but I'm on every platform, and or you can look up funny real estate humor too. If you're a real estate agent listening to this, and you're having a bad day, or just, I'm telling you, it's also a good way to get engagement on your profiles. Share something that speaks to you that day. Client did something to you, a dad showed up to an inspection, your team leader did something off the wall. I've got something for everybody. So if you look on Facebook or Instagram, you can find funny real estate humor, is basically where you'll look under. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm always there.
I love it. And I'll make sure we have all that information in the show notes. So we'll make it super easy for you guys to find John. And I don't care if you're an agent or not, go check out his memes because they are fantastic.
I
Some of them you
appreciate
may
it.
not understand, but I promise you will get a laugh out of something. So, John, I can't thank you enough for being back on the podcast to celebrate these 2 years, and for being my very first guest and being so patient with me
Well,
as I took you through the ropes.
I'm honored to be here again and again. Very, very happy to see the success you've had. It's awesome to see it, and very well deserved.
No, thank you. And same to you, John. I've loved to see as you've grown over the last 2 years as well. To everybody else out there, I hope that you got not only some amazing insights, but some inspiration. Maybe this is your chance to do something different, to stand in your own integrity, to put up those boundaries, to be a little bit more like you want to be and not so worried about what everybody else thinks of you, regardless of what business you're in, whether you're in corporate or running your own. People are attracted to you because of who you are. And if you have to pretend who that is all the time, it becomes exhausting. I promise I've seen it firsthand. I have lived it. So until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference that it makes in your life. Catch you later. Hello again, and thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode and it brought tons of value, we ask that you please share, like, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us and helps us to reach even more inspiring entrepreneurs who can benefit from these powerful conversations. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform, as this feedback is an amazing gift that fuels our growth and helps us to continually improve this podcast. Looking for an extra dose of inspiration and empowerment? Then be sure to connect with me on social media. You can find me at The Lotus Effect, where I share valuable resources and tips while sharing my own journey of being an entrepreneur. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching programs and services, be sure to check out my website at the-lotus-effect.com. Once again, thank you so much for being a part of Real Chat with Kat. Your presence and support makes all the difference. Remember, whether you find yourself in the depths of the mud or on the path of growth, we all have a unique journey. And just like the lotus, some of us start in the dirtiest of mud, yet as we rise and grow, we blossom into something beautiful, unique, and truly one of a kind. To all of my visionaries out there, keep rising and growing as you create your own Lotus Effect.